Hi, everybody. Before we get to another great interview, the Two Opinionated podcast could really use your help. And it's easy, it's free. IMDb, which is the entertainment database, imdb.com, named us a top 100 podcast. We came in at number 82. That's a big deal because there's 15 million podcasts and growing. So to be named to anybody's top 100 list, pretty big deal for us. And the way you can help is to go to imdb.com, look up the Two Opinionated podcast, and that's it. Just bringing our page up. That traffic really helps us out. Our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. All we ask is that you subscribe. It's also free, but that really helps us to attract these amazing guests that we keep bringing on the program. And that's it. Two easy ways for you to support us, and we would really appreciate the help. Now let's get to that interview. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another edition to Opinionated. I'm so excited today. I've got writer-director Susie Singer-Carter with me. So welcome, Susie.
Hi, how you doing? Thank you for having me, Michael.
That's a very Hollywood name, I think.
Is it?
I think so. I could see that, on the, in lights. You might
Yeah,
go
it's not
see.
bad. It's not bad, but it's real. I just, it sort of reflects my sordid past with my two ex-husbands. So I decided I had a child with each, and I should at least represent.
I
So
like that.
yeah, Singer-Carter. There you go.
I think
So
that's a pretty, most of the time when it's an ex, you're looking to move on, but you've kind of honored those periods in your life.
yeah, you should honor them. If just because something doesn't last doesn't mean it's not valuable and not something that you treasure. So yeah,
Yeah, I
absolutely.
completely agree with that. Sometimes things just don't work out. Doesn't mean you have to be at odds.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, that's
There's
exactly right. So, Susie, let's start this way because we got a little bit to talk about. But
do.
let's talk about you first. Give us a little bit of your background. What got you into the entertainment business? That's obviously a difficult business to go into. What made you want to do
God, I don't know. Like
that?
crazy, I think. Certifiably nuts. Um, I I was studying at UCLA. I was going to go into journalism,
Yeah.
and I had a radio show first, and I was pulling news, and I was like, "This is sucks. This is awful. This is so depressing." And my first husband, the one that represents the singer of the name,
Oh,
he also was at UCLA, and he was the star of. He was in the theater arts department, and I would go over there, and I would think, "Oh my God, they're like so annoying because they're like so." On and
all the
he
time.
all the time. And then I was like, a year after I graduated, I was like, I'm so do not want to work in news. It's very depressing. And next thing I know, I started getting auditions and like really loving this acting. And then I started seeing the roles I was going up for, and I thought, I think I could take a hand, give it a go at writing. I
Yeah.
felt like I could write a little better than what I was getting. I had ideas. I had ideas, and
Well, I
so
like that because a lot of times the issue is the dialogue.
yeah.
The character dialogue isn't written good enough. I like the fact that you were like, well, these roles aren't the best. I could write them better.
I felt I could. Yeah, I really did. And it's funny you say that because I feel like my dialogue is probably one of my stronger suits is
Yeah.
like dialogue. I love writing dialogue. I listen to people all the time and pick up on their dialogue. I just love it because it is very nuanced. And if you really get into it, and it's just interesting because that's how you create the person. I love it. So anyway, I started getting pitching projects and that along sordid tales, but I ended up working my first couple of jobs in children's programming on Saturday morning, CBS Saturday morning.
Yeah.
Did a show called Cake, and I did Dance Revolution at the
I
same
thought you
time.
did Dance Revolution.
Yeah. Yeah, so I did that, and I was very proud of that. And from there, my executive producer asked me if I knew about a doll called Bratz. And I said, "Are you kidding? Have you seen me?" And so next thing I know, I was associate producing the movie Bratz with it was live action.
Oh
And
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've got daughters. They watched.
Okay, you can see
I
my
remember
poster
seeing the
over
Bratz
there.
movie.
There's the poster right there.
Very nice.
And so that was, and then I ended up writing that. That was my first writing, feature writing
Yeah.
gig. And then I went on to, this is like I'm jumping a lot of stuff. And then I ended up, I was fortunate enough to work on a really beautiful film called Soul Surfer,
Oh yeah,
and
love that
I,
movie.
I co-produced that and Ghost wrote on it as well,
Yeah.
and got to live in Hawaii for three and a
Was
half
that
months.
what was that Kate Hudson? Was that who played
No,
it?
it was Anna Sophia Robb.
Oh, that's right. That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Anna Sophia Robb, who I'm still friends with, and
Yeah.
her
Yeah.
mom and
She was
I are,
terrific in it too. She really
she was
good job.
she was lovely. She was lovely. And yeah, it was a Bethany Hamilton story in case anyone wants to know what that is. And she lost her arm surfing and went on to continue to be a surf champ and also an advocate for, living life and go talking all around the world with other children and adults to motivate them.
Yeah.
And yeah, I did a lot of stuff. I had a deal at Fox and did many different pilots and things like that. And then about 7 years ago, during the time when my mother, who was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, who was a pistol and just an incredible force of nature. And I got this story from her because she lived with me for a year right after my stepdad died. And I call it the best and worst year of my life, mostly
Yeah.
my best. And so out of that year came this incredible story with my mom that happened. I wasn't there. I was told the story by we had I call it Team Norma. It was my daughter, myself, and a lovely woman named Orlando, who was my daughter's nanny, and then my mom's housekeeper and my house. And like she just became family and she and my mom were like peas in a pod, and she was able, and my Jewish mom from New Jersey and Orlando from Guatemala. Somehow they gelled.
That's
And
awesome.
they both were pistols. So anyway, long story short, I would tell the story and everybody would say, you have to make a film about this. This is just
Yeah.
too good. Because it actually, although I call it a joyous look at Alzheimer's, it actually is beyond Alzheimer's because it really shows three disparate women from disparate backgrounds in a moment changing each other's life for better, and how all the ableism, the ageism, the bias that we have, the stigma that we have on all kinds of different people, whether their gender and all kinds of things that
Right.
didn't play into this story at all. All that played into it was these three human beings
I
who,
love that.
and it's a gorgeous film. I'm very proud of it. We were Oscar qualified, and it was Valerie Harper played my mom, and it was her last performance before she passed. And what a gift she gave everybody, because it's just a stunning, just a beautiful, funny, warm, everything kind of role. And I thought
What was the name of it?
it's called My Mom and the Girl.
Yeah, yeah, my mom and the girl. That's right.
My Mom and the Girl. And Liz Torres plays Erlanda. Liz Torres, if you is she has an incredible background as an actress, but most people nowadays would know her from Gilmore Girls
Yeah.
because
Oh
she
yeah.
played the dance teacher, and she's beloved. And also a pistol. And her and Valerie actually worked on a series in the 90s together. So they were reunited, and it was like having two teenage girls on the set at all times.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I'd be like, action, and then be like, ladies, I said action. Sorry. So that from that was just a lovely experience. We're just getting to go around the world on the festival circuit and going to my dog and Cannes. Sorry about that.
All right.
And then got to go to Cannes with it and won the PBS Fine Cuts Award, and just
Amazing.
lots of recognition for something that I thought maybe no one would want to watch. So you never know. And from there, I really realized how powerful stories are and how they can make a difference, especially on things that are difficult topics to look at, like Alzheimer's, because I didn't know anything about Alzheimer's. And
Right.
so there's misunderstandings, for sure, and misperceptions, stigma, even in the medical industry. And I thought, well, if I can shed some light and cause conversation that's different, that would be great, wouldn't it?
That would be great. Yeah.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
felt like I did, and from there, I thought after we were done doing the circuits, the festival circuits, and I thought, well, we should keep this conversation going. So I
Yeah.
launched a podcast in 2020 called Love Conquers Alls, ALZ.
Yeah,
And
you're old hat at this podcasting game.
I just didn't even know I didn't know what to do. I just was like, I'm gonna start chatting about it. Let's get it. So started with one host, Cassie Cruz, who's also a producer, and then I brought in my producing partner when Cassie had to go, Don Priest, and we're in our 10th season, and the first season out we won
Amazing.
Best Podcast from New Media Film Festival. And we're like, wow, this is so much fun. We loved it. And I don't want to stop because we get great people to come on and
Yeah,
talk.
why would you?
And if you touch like one person and you make a difference, isn't that great?
Yeah.
And now
Yeah.
here we are with another thing that I'm doing that we're here to talk
I know
about.
you're so busy. You're so busy.
Well,
My grandmother had Alzheimer's. She got it late, so it's just the last few years. She lived to be 96, so she was with us
God bless.
for a while. But we're dealing with that, with my mother. She's starting to have just some memory issues. She's doing very well, but just having some memory issues. And I've had so many friends that have dealt with parents that have gone through that. I'm lucky enough; mine are both still with us. But most of my friends that in my age have lost at least one parent, and a
Yeah.
lot of times it has a lot to do with Alzheimer's. So, and I'm not saying anything that's new, because everybody knows somebody or has somebody in their family that suffers from it. But yeah, it's a new project. Tell us about it. What's the name of it, and what's it about?
What's it all about, Alfie? It's a documentary, and it's
Yeah,
something that I never thought I would make or that I had to make because it's a hard subject matter. It's called
yeah,
No Country for Old People. It's a nursing home expose.
yeah,
And the reason why I made it was because 3 years ago, my mom we had to she had to go into a nursing home.
yeah.
And I was so excited because I found a place that was 5-star here in Los Angeles. And I would go on my podcast all the time and say, oh, I can sleep at night because my mom is one of my
Right.
favorite
Yeah, you
people in
just
the
want to
whole
know
world.
they're safe and being taken care
Yeah,
of.
taken care of, happy, health, as healthy as they can be. And my mom was she's still loving her life, like I would say to her every time, Mommy, how you doing today? And she'd go, I am great. I'm
Oh,
alive.
that's great.
I, life is good and the alternative sucks. So my mom would say that all the time. And so I know, my mom, she didn't suffer fools. So if she was ready to go, she would tell me, right?
Yeah.
So along came COVID,
Yeah.
right? 2020. And like so many other people who had loved ones in long-term
Yeah, it was
care,
awful.
it was awful. We didn't get to see our loved ones except for occasional Zooms.
Well,
So
I told you I was working in a hospital system here locally during 2020, and that was kind of what I did. I was in those patient rooms. They weren't allowed to see anybody. They're on, sometimes on ventilators, sometimes just off of them. And I would Zoom with family members just so they could have that connection. It was
right.
awful. It was
It was awful.
awful. Yeah, good.
Awful.
Continue.
No, sure. And so it was a year and a half that before most of us were able to actually go in and,
Yeah,
lay our eyes on them in person.
yeah.
And, if they actually survived in that year and a half, they
A
certainly
lot of them didn't. It hit our nursing
many
homes
didn't.
hard.
No, many, like way too many that people don't even know the number.
That's right.
And when I got to see my mom finally, I mean, I could see it on the Zoom. I was like, our Zoom was every week on a Wednesday at 3 p.m. And pretty soon when we started, she was in bed. Why is mom in bed?
Right.
Oh, I don't know, Susie. The person that was doing what you're doing,
Yeah.
who was helping and facilitating, would say, I don't know, because they became like family to us,
Oh,
right?
yeah, of course.
And I'd say, oh, is she sick? Like, why isn't she sitting up at least? And why isn't she dressed? And she looked unkempt. And, her Alzheimer's, you could feel like her cognitive ability was just slipping away. Like she was like every day, every time I saw her, exponentially worse. And by the
I
time I
mean,
got,
with some of that isolation or,
yeah,
or Yeah, yeah.
and neglect.
And neglect. Yeah.
Neglect, because what was happening was, and I didn't know, now I know all, how it all works, but at the time, even before I knew the term understaffed, like I had no
Yeah.
idea that, most of our long-term care facilities and also assisted living facilities are chronically understaffed
Oh,
because
it's
that's the
terrible.
business model. So when every day we'd family members, we would get these recorded calls like, hello, 14 staff members have tested positive for COVID and
Right.
we'll be quarantined for 2 weeks. Every day it was 14, 9, 10, 6, 5, and you're going, well, who's there to
Yeah.
take care?
Who's actually watching the patients?
Nobody was there. We had CNAs and also assistants just coming in and nothing, not even like I remember the woman who we became so close with that facilitated the Zooms, and she was like, she would say to me, Susie, I'm doing what nurses are supposed to do. Like, I'm not even trained to do this. Like, she
Yeah.
was like really like stressed out about it, and so I mean, I remember writing our governor and sending, actually not just writing him, I did a video for our governor here, Governor Newsom, and said, there's people all over the world that are at least allowed to see their loved ones, like they're putting their hands through plastic so they could hug them, because that's so important, because what happens is you get failure to thrive. I mean, isolation kills. It's a
It
killer.
really does.
It's a killer. Like nobody can
I mean, we're
survive,
learning that even in our prison systems,
right?
putting people in isolation for too long a period of time is not good for their health.
No, and these people didn't do anything to deserve it. These are
Right.
not criminals. These are people that deserved respect and
Of course.
dignity and care. So, when finally got to see my mom, I I spent some time with her, like an afternoon, and it was so interesting because my partner, my producing partner, for some reason, well, of course, we love to take footage, film. So he had his phone out. He was like, "That was so cute what was happening." And he said, I took I think 15 minutes of footage. It was so great because I was telling my mom her life story. Well,
Yeah.
that became the thread of this future documentary that I didn't know I was going to make. 36 hours after I saw her that day, she was taken to the hospital with a stage 4 bed pressure sore, bed sore, which
Well, and that's 100% neglect.
100%. That's emblematic. Which when she was admitted, she had sepsis, 10% kidney function, pneumonia, and
Lord.
they had to intubate her. They put her on a feeding tube, and without my permission, because I wasn't allowed to go in the hospital. I
Right.
didn't know anything that was happening, and it from when she finally got released from the hospital, she was intubated twice. They put her on NPO, which means nothing by mouth. And I was like, why was my mom being nothing from mouth? Like eating is her life.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing else to do then. Like eating is a creature comfort. We all love to
Well,
eat,
that's
right?
right. Yeah. If nothing else is going right, what do? You eat.
You eat. Like, let the woman eat. And they were like, no, we can't do that because she's going to aspirate and get aspiration pneumonia. And I was like, that doesn't make sense to me because you already gave her pneumonia. And like, she wants to eat. If she's going to get pneumonia, let her do it a fun way.
Right.
Not that she was going to get it, but,
No,
because
right.
I checked her and, they hadn't really even given her a test to see if she was aspirating. They just said she was, assuming I would just believe her. And I brought in liquids and things to let her to at least have a drink
Yeah.
because it's horrifying to go without water and food. And mom was drinking like a champ. She wasn't aspirating at all. And I kept thinking, what planet am I on? Like, why is no one listening to me? Why do they still have this feeding tube? She doesn't need the feeding tube. Like, why? Why does she have a Foley catheter still? She doesn't
Yeah.
need it.
Just let her eat.
Let her eat, let her be. And they wouldn't, when they released her from the hospital, they ordered a wound specialist. By the way, when I called when the hospital called me when she was first admitted, the first thing she said is, we have to tell you that she was admitted with a stage 4 pressure sore because they don't want responsibility for it.
Right.
So I
I don't
called,
blame them.
no, right? Because it's actually a never event. which is dictated by the Centers for Medicaid and Medicare Services.
Yeah.
So Medicare and Medicaid services. So it's actually a never event. And so you don't want that on your record as a facility. When I called the facility and said, why wasn't I made aware that mom had a 1, 2, or 3 even? And they
Right.
said, didn't happen here.
Well, I remember my my father had open heart surgery early last year, and he's doing great. But he got like barely a stage 1 bed
Right.
sore. But if you have never dealt with a bed sore, it was awful, and it gave him fits for weeks. Even when he was up walking around and stuff, it still bothered him, and that was stage 1.
Right. I mean, stage 4, folks, I never even knew what a bed sore was. I thought a bed
Yeah.
sore was like, like a diaper rash. Like,
Right. That's what I thought.
rash and that's it, and you put some cream on it, and it's, from laying on one side too
Yeah.
long. We all get that when you lay on, you cross your legs too long or
It's
whatever.
more like an abscess.
Oh yeah, like a cavern.
Yeah.
Down,
It's just a
down to the
hole,
bone,
basically.
down to the bone. And so it is horrible. So when they sent her back to the nursing home, they said they wouldn't bring in a wound specialist, which was ordered. They wouldn't bring in anybody, a specialist, a speech therapist that's supposed to evaluate for aspiration,
Yeah.
swallowing. And I was like, okay, I really don't understand what's going on. Like, I know my instincts are right. Like
Yeah.
my mom is not ready to die. Like, why are you all writing her off? Like, this is crazy. And it kept getting worse and worse. Every day there was something more, something more. And prior to that, let me back up 1 second because this is very important. My mom, as I said, was a pistol. When she had Alzheimer's, up until even, she went into assisted living, she was walking 5 miles a day. She was totally physically fine. One day out of the blue, I thought that her Alzheimer's had progressed. She's now immobile in a wheelchair, looking like a zombie, and is now incontinent. She wasn't incontinent.
Right.
And so I did think she was on her way out. This was 8 years ago. And so I got a call from her general practitioner who had a checkup with her, and he said, I need you to know that your mom is on a drug called Depakote. And
Okay.
so, Depakote is actually a black label drug. It's an anti-seizure drug, and it's
Okay.
black label, which means it can be deathly for someone who is an elder person and especially with dementia. And he
What
said,
what was she on it for?
it's called chemical restraints. It's called, we're understaffed and we can't handle everybody, so let's drug
So they're
them.
going to give her something that is
Sedates
very
them.
dangerous
Right.
just because they don't have somebody there that can take care of her.
That's right. And this is a practice that happens all the time that I never heard of. And at the
I've never heard. I worked in a hospital system. I've never heard of that.
Oh yeah, it is a common practice. It's talked about, like all of the advocacy groups like when I started this documentary, I went out and we have a fiscal sponsor so we could raise money nonprofit, and that's the National Consumer Voice for Quality
Yeah.
Long-Term Care. They've been around since 1974. I mean, it's one of the things that the 1974 Nursing Home Reform Act, that had it written in there that they were not allowed to restrain
Right.
residents physically or chemically because it's such a common practice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Such a common
That's
practice.
I had no idea. That's awful.
Yeah, it's awful. And so that's why if you ever walk into a nursing home, because I know everybody that's ever had to put their parent or a loved one in a long-term facility, and you see like the brigade of wheelchairs, in a hallway, and everyone's like this, they're not sleeping, they're drugged.
Yeah.
They're drugged because they're understaffed. So
How do
now
you prevent that? Like knowing it, if you know it going in, can you put on there that you don't want them to have those drugs or?
they are supposed to check if you are the conservator of person or the medical,
Yeah.
person, you have medical charge for your loved one, then it should all go through you. It's supposed to go through you,
That's what I thought. Yeah.
but the supposed to's don't happen. And that's because the nursing home industry has been gamed by a lot of by corporate investors
That's
and
right.
state investors. And so it's been gamed, the system's been gamed, and it's been easily gamed for over 50 years.
Yeah.
And the reason why it's so easy to be gamed is because a couple reasons. They have a very, very strong nursing home lobby, and the lobby pays lots of money and puts it into the coffers of our politicians for their
Of course.
campaigns. And then you've got them also paying for seats in the legislature.
Yeah.
And so traditional advocacy doesn't work because the oversight, the checks and balances, the enforcement, and the penalties are practically non-existent.
Well, and I'm guessing that the our new administration has not helped in that regard because we're cutting everything
We're
back.
cutting Medicaid and apparently, and that's going to be a serious, it's going to be an existential crisis.
Well,
It just,
it's gonna be a death sentence for a lot of people.
for
I
many
believe that.
people.
I think a lot of us believe that.
I mean, it's going to change like how you look at life because what's going to happen is there's already this horrible phenomenon called granny dumping. It's a terrible name, but when people don't have any place to go if they get out of the hospital, because Medicare will cover a hospital stay up until a certain amount of time,
Right.
depending on the acuity. When you're released and you don't have a place to go to, you get dropped off on the street. That's it. And if we
That
cut,
doesn't seem like that should be allowed.
well, no, absolutely, it shouldn't be allowed. And the fact is that how many all of us have paid into our Medicare and Medicaid?
Yeah.
That comes out of, your state taxes and your federal taxes. It's our money, and
Well, it's
that's
just
money.
like Social Security. That's our money.
That's
We put
right.
that in there.
All of it is, all of it is. We're loan it to them to use for other things,
Right.
but when it's time for us to have it, it's time for us to use it. But what
Right.
happens is because the oversight in the enforcement is practically non-existent, because there's regulations are in place,
Right.
they're just not adhered to. And then you've got these corporations who are completely non-transparent. So you can't really, and it's just like criminal enterprise, apparently. I'm not an expert on criminal enterprise, but our experts are. And they say it in the documentary, it looks just like criminal enterprise. They have related parties, they're washing money through these related parties like management companies and, vendors and so on and so forth, your real estate, and then they raise the prices on these related parties that they own. And then they go to CMS and say, we can't staff up to the minimum requirement that you're asking because we don't have enough money. But they don't have enough money because they're tunneling a ton of profit out and running it through their related parties into their
Of
pockets.
course.
And we can't get to them criminally because they're shielded, they're veiled behind this corporate veil. So there's been experts that we interview who have been for decades, campaigning and talking to Congress ad nauseum about transparency. We
Yeah.
can't do anything to stop this without transparency. Well, how do you get transparency if all the people that are making decisions are benefiting from the
You
status
don't.
quo?
And it's obviously it's really a bigger problem than, I mean, our healthcare system's broken. We spend more per person on healthcare than, it's like double the next,
Yeah,
most. And our healthcare is not even close to the best healthcare in the world. It should be, but it's not even close.
right, right. And it's getting, and in the same thing that I'm talking about in the long-term care system definitely applies in our healthcare system at large because there's money to be made. So if it's like my partner, can I just get back to my partner for a second? Because I want to, this really makes a huge difference in this documentary
Yeah.
is that when I was watching, when I was going through this with my mom, I was watching a miniseries called Dope Sick on Hulu,
Yeah,
which,
I've seen it. Yep.
okay. So this was when these two federal prosecutors were going after Purdue Pharma
Yeah.
for marketing, who they are
Well,
the
I'm in West Virginia. We know
and
all about that.
Well, that's where the whole thing takes place, right?
Yeah,
So there was a massive, crisis, especially, I mean, it's national, but it was really, it hit hard in Virginia, right?
it did.
In
Yeah.
the rural part of Virginia. And so Rick Mountcastle was played by Peter Sarsgaard in the
Yep.
series. And Michael Keaton plays the doctor who ends up getting hooked on OxyContin, which really, brilliantly shows how easy it is for anybody to get
Have you
hooked.
ever been on like a narcotic, had a surgery or something, they put you on a narcotic?
I don't do well on them, so I try to avoid them because I don't like them. They make me feel, I just sleep off of it. But my brother was addicted to OxyContin. That's why I watched it. So I've seen what it can do to
Yeah,
people
it's so fast. I know
so fast.
years ago I had a fairly minor surgery, but it was kind of painful, and they gave me 1 week of I think oxy or something similar, 1 week, and I only took for 3 or 4 days, and I was miserable for like 2 weeks after that, just from the
Yeah.
withdrawals after a couple of days.
Oh yeah, it's highly, highly,
Oh, it's terrible.
highly addictive. So addictive. My brother was up to like 900 milligrams a day. They were starting at 25 when they first came out with OxyContin,
Yeah.
and they kept rate. Well, if you watch the series, I recommend the series a lot. Why I met Rick Mountcastle is because at the last episode in Dope Sick, his partner says to him, I have our next case. It's another pharmaceutical called Abbott Labs, and they're off marketing a drug called Depakote to
Oh,
nursing homes. So that's what I just told you about. That
yeah.
happened to my mom. And I thought, oh my gosh, well, they won that case. And it was one of the biggest judgments. It was $1.5 billion for a single drug.
Yeah.
That drug is still in use for in off-market marketing situations. But I thought I'd really love to have this guy. He's my hero. I would love to have him on Love Conquers Alls and find out about how they get, how are they getting away with this? The same
Yeah.
questions you're asking me. So, long story short, he came on, he was very gracious and he told me all about that and then told my audience about chemical restraining. And then I was telling him what was happening to my mom. And he said, well, this is not just an individual circumstance with your mom's facility. This
Yeah.
is a systemic crisis. I've been federally prosecuting nursing homes for 20 years. So he knew
He knew.
he knew. So he really opened my eyes to the system, to the business model, and the rest is history. He said I didn't know what I was going to do with my he was actually going to retire. This is 2022. And he said, I didn't know what I was going to do with my 15 minutes of fame, and now I do. We're making a documentary. So off we went, and it was so great because he really knew the political side of it and the ins and outs of it, and really understood what
Yeah.
we were up against. Because he said it didn't matter if he won his individual cases, nothing was changing, and if anything, it was getting worse.
Yeah.
So we have such a great team. We interviewed over 80 people, experts, family members, nurses, CNAs, frontline providers, you name it, swallow specialists,
Yeah.
right? Wound specialists, everybody, geriatricians who know the real truth.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And good for you, because it's long overdue, that we're starting to highlight some of the issues in our nursing homes. And we should all be really concerned, because chances are most of us are going to end up in one, at least for a short period of time, at some point in our lives.
Absolutely. I said it from the very beginning when I was developing this project. This is not my mom's story. This is all of our story.
Yeah.
And we will be touched by this in one way or another. And if we live long enough, it'll be us. But if not, we will see someone we love. And it is not, I mean, I just had dinner with friends like on Friday night, and they were like, oh, my cousin is in, say, and they gave him a feeding tube, and we don't know why. And he just went, and I mean, I said my mother's story,
Yeah.
because what they want to do is if you're understaffed, well, if you have a feeding tube, all you do is plug it in. You don't have to help anybody. You don't have to bring food in. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's easy.
It's easier. MPO is easier for
But we
them.
shouldn't be making decisions based on what's easy. It should be
Right.
based on what is best for the person.
Exactly. Quality, dignity, why do people get these kinds of sores when they shouldn't? It's because no one's checking them. Some people don't get bathed for a week, a month. Some people aren't looked at. Sometimes, and all that, not even sometimes, this is so common. There's not enough staff. People that are, bedridden will
Yeah.
say, I have to go to the bathroom. They'll say, can't help you. Do it in your bed. And then they lay in their bed for another, 3, 4, 5 hours. You're going to get a bed sore from that.
Yeah, you are. Oh my
It's
God.
like, think about a baby in a diaper. If you're wearing a wet diaper, you get diaper rash. If you don't take that diaper off for a
If
day,
if you have a loved one in a facility and that type of stuff is happening and you discover that, what's your course of action? Can you sue? Can you what's your course of action?
it's very difficult to do a lawsuit against a nursing home. You can do it. It has to be so clear cut because there's a lot of there's a lot of holes in everything, and there's also caps on what you can get,
Right.
and there's all kinds of time frames that you have to adhere to. And they're very canny. They mitigate their risk as much as they can. There's a records are they're changed, and things
Well,
so
yeah, they cover it up.
they cover it up. There's redaction that goes on. So there are, if you find someone that you love is suffering and being neglected, and I didn't even know this existed. There's a whole program of ombudsman that
Yep.
apparently every facility should have an ombudsman
Yeah.
attached to it, but because they're underpaid, and these programs they're federal programs, but they're just not funded enough. So it's all mostly done by volunteer. And we covered in the documentary, and we do this with love and respect. We call them a toothless tiger because they want to help. These people are amazing. They want to help, but they're only given so much.
Yeah, there's not much they can do.
No, they'll do the same thing that we do, and they'll go and say, "Listen, this woman needs a wound doctor like yesterday," and they'll go, "Okay, got it. What's her name? What room is she?" And
Yeah.
nothing happens. Nothing happens. And so when you think about those kinds of dire situations, when someone is suffering, they're suffering. That's pain, and they're taking time, and what they'll end up doing is so it doesn't, everything is bottom line. It's follow the money. And these places, the administration has to adhere to what the owners want. So they have to keep their overhead a certain way. So they're going to cut costs any way they can. And if they feel like someone is, too labor intensive, they're taking up too many, resources, they're going to push them into hospice, which happened with my mom.
Yep.
And hospice is paid by Medicare, and they pay way more than Medicaid.
Right.
So they only have to keep them comfortable. So that that equates to giving them morphine or Haldol or something to keep them sedated.
Right.
So now they
Yeah, their
don't
quality of life at that point is just non-existent.
It's non-existent.
Yeah.
So they're making their whatever, anywhere from $900 to $1,500 a day, depending on what area you're in, what kind of comorbidities you have.
Yep.
From Medicare, that, a month, that pulls in $30,000 a month. And they don't have to do anything. It's not costing them anything. And the facility that my mom was at, they were co-owners of the hospice. So they were double dipping.
Wow. Yeah,
So
that's awful. So the documentary is No Country for Old People. Did you get some type of closure with your mom's situation?
this is my closure.
Yeah.
This is my closure because I saw things that I couldn't unsee, and I felt like if I didn't share that I'm culpable,
Yeah.
then I feel like how could I not tell people what's going on?
Well, yeah,
Um,
if you prevent it from happening to one person, it's worth it.
it's worth it. And I've had, listen, all across this country, we just launched last week on Amazon Prime, and the stories that I'm being
Yeah, it
flooded
came
with.
out like Friday, right?
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
stories are just like, not that I didn't have these while I was producing it, but it's like, yes, and people are just, they're just want to get it out because
Yeah.
people don't want to hear it normally, and people think that you're exaggerating, but we're not. I'm not exaggerating because I wish I was exaggerating. I wish I was
Yeah, of
exaggerating.
course. Yeah, nobody wants their loved ones to go through that.
No, it's awful. It's awful. And so we are launching. Not we don't want to be here. Here's all the bad news, and now what do you do? Bye.
Right.
We Rick and I and my other partner Don, we decided we need some kind of call to action, and we have created a nonprofit movement called
Yeah,
ROAR, stands for Respect, Oversight, Advocacy, and Reform for Long-Term
like
Care.
that. Yeah.
And we are asking people to sign up to be a roarier for people that cannot roar on their own, and
I love
to
that.
actually take it to the streets. And we're going to create a movement using story, using our voices, using ourselves as power against the lobby, who have a lot of financial power. We have power as constituents. Like any other movement that's ever caused, a major shift in our society, it always comes from grassroots. It
That's
has
right.
to. So it's a revolution that has to happen because it's been going on. I'm not, I kid you not, I read out of a book from 1974 that at the end of the documentary, and I'm reading these passages as if these are things that I was just talking about. And I say, I'm reading from this book that was written in 1974. We can't let another 50 years go by.
That's awful. So it's been 50 years and nothing has changed. It's probably gotten worse.
It's worse.
Yeah.
It's worse.
Were
And
you
no,
able to go, like for the documentary, were you able to go into some nursing homes? Would they allow you to do that?
well, I had enough footage of my mom, and
Yeah.
when I talked to Rick Mountcastle about doing the documentary, and at that point, I was memorializing my mom like you do with your family members,
Sure.
and that's my life is the camera. So I had plenty. Looking back on it, I found so much. And then when I decided to do this before she passed away, like because this was a 6 month sort of horrible journey from January 17th till the day she died, which was July 17th, 2022. Rick said you should really start memorializing everything. So I started to memorialize everything that I could, you know, nurses and doctors and things that, that I wouldn't have thought of before,
Yeah.
things and things that were happening to my mom so that people could see what was actually happening and believe it. I want to touch people's hearts,
Yeah.
and, because that's the only way you're going to get change, because you can't just spout data.
Well, that's
Data,
right. You have to make people feel, or they have trouble getting involved.
yeah, I mean, I don't blame them because, think about it. If it's been around for 50 years, I mean, doing my research, I found so many specials on nursing home neglect and abuse. There was one just when I started producing it from Vice, which is a great outlet, very,
Yeah.
very good
Vice
for
does
doing it.
good work.
Yeah. And
I
got
think John Oliver did an
John
episode.
Oliver, yes, he did. And I actually take a piece of his, and it's in our documentary, where he goes, "We actually have to start giving a shit before
That's
people,"
right.
is what he said. Because right now we don't.
That's right.
And that's the ageism. That's where ageism and ableism comes in. And I just want to say, I'm going to quote my one of my experts, Ashton Applewhite, who is uh, the big voice for anti-ageism. She wrote "This Chair Rocks," and she says, when you are an ageist, you're only performing a bias against your future self.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I love that. Because yeah, it's true. We're one of the only countries that doesn't seem to want to take care of our older people. Most countries, they kind of revere the older people. And,
Well,
you know,
they did, Michael, they did, but guess what? Our individualistic, Western society culture is permeating the world right now. And that's why I did call it No Country for Old People, because it is starting to even permeate our Asian cultures. Like in
that's
Japan, they're
awful.
having a hell of a time. the way they're treating their elders. And
Yeah,
it's
that's depressing to hear, because that's the culture you kind of look at. It's like they take care of their older people.
right. Well, this is what's happening because we become so individualistic and we have to come back. Community is everything. Purpose is
Yeah.
everything. There's a documentary, the Blue Zone, where you see these people thriving into their hundreds. And why do they thrive? Because they have purpose.
Yeah.
They have community.
Well, that's the difference, and I think all of us are kind of aware of that. We just don't talk about it a lot. When you stop having a purpose, and it could be something as simple as, caring for the people that you're with, maybe not
100%.
taking care of them, but just caring for them. But if you don't have that purpose, then people tend to pass quickly.
Why wouldn't they, right?
Yeah.
Like, if
Yeah.
you don't,
Because what are you here for?
what are you here for? I mean, that's the big question, right? But
Yeah.
all I know is that as a filmmaker and, learning from my mom and having to go through her journey, who wants that? Nobody does. We're just like,
Right.
you're a human being. You never think these things are going to happen. And then when you lean into it, you go, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. Like, you couldn't feel better and feel more valuable than if you are helping someone else.
That's
It
true.
it's beautiful. And I swear to you, I'm not OU or anything like that. I'm just saying that's the truth. I mean, when you can be of service to someone else, how can you not feel good about yourself?
Well, that's right. Well, and it tends to come back to you. If you put positivity out in the world, you tend to get positive back.
I
The
think
reverse
so.
is also true.
And the reverse is true. One would hope. I don't know. One would hope, but whatever. I'm just saying that, when you lean into it and you really get out of your individualistic way,
Yeah.
which we all do, and I'm not throwing shade or anything, but we're all la 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 la. My mom
Yeah,
and
we
I,
are.
my mom was like, "Oh, honey, we're not dying. That's for other people." Let's go. Come on.
Yeah, come on.
You know. Bye. But let's get real. We can joke around it, but there comes a time where we have to lean in and it's it is what it's I mean, okay, this is going to be ridiculous, but look at the elephants, okay? They take care of each other. I
They
mean,
do.
it truly, I mean, like, this is what we're here for.
Yeah.
And there's nothing better than that. So and oh, can I just say one more thing? Because you've given
Sure.
me a lot of time, but I just want to say no country for old people. It's also no country for sick people. It's because it's not just old people in long-term care. It's
Well, that's
it
right.
it ranges from 18 and even younger all the way up.
Yeah.
So there's
Yeah, we
many.
never really talk about that, but it's not just old or elderly. It's
No.
our sick as well.
That's right. And so, for the grace of God, Bill, you and me,
Right.
and we could be in a car accident, God forbid, or we could get an autoimmune disease that knocks us for a loop.
Yeah.
And there you are in long-term care before you know it. So it does behoove all of us to look at it and say, this is the minimum of what humanity should be, and that is taking care of the most vulnerable.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And Susie, thank you for taking a little bit of time with us. The documentary is No Country for Old People. Where can we watch it?
You can watch it on Amazon Prime.
Oh,
And then coming on the 15th, I think it's going to be available on was it Roku? Tubi? I think Tubi and
oh yeah,
Roku.
Tubi is terrific
Yeah,
because they get a lot of stuff,
yeah.
and you get the commercials with it, but it's worth it just to
Right.
get
If you
the
don't want to pay
content.
for commercials,
That's
go
right.
to, I mean, if you want to pay for, if you don't want commercials, you can just pay a little
That's
bit.
right.
It's not that much
No,
on
it's
Amazon.
not.
And if you can put up with the commercials, Tubi, please leave a review and a rating because that will help our algorithm get up so it gets pushed out. Because I just want everyone to know the truth. I don't want
Yeah,
everyone to be sucker punched like I was, and it's very stressful. And when you're in a crisis, that's not the time to make decisions.
that's right. Yeah, yeah. We're none of us are at our best in a crisis.
No.
You want to make those decisions ahead of time.
Yes. So share and share as much as you can with people. And, it's not an easy watch, but you won't regret it. I'll tell you
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Well, Susie, it sounds terrific and long overdue. I'm so happy that you've done this and that you're kind of pushing this fight a little bit. And it's not just you, there's others that are doing it, but it
Yes.
needs to be a lot more of us if we're going to
Yes.
fix it.
Yes. So thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Michael. I really appreciate it. And you're a delightful person. So thank you for having me.
You're so welcome. I hope you'll come back and give us an update
I will.
at some point because we'd love to hear that. Before I let you go, where can we find out? If we're interested in you, where can we find you on social media?
Oh, okay. You can find me. I'm Susie Singer-Carter. That's my handle on all of the platforms.
Yeah.
And if you want to know more about No Country for Old People, same thing, No Country for Old People doc or film. And then there's nocountryforoldpeople.com. That's our website.
Yeah,
So
it's
you
a
can,
good website too. I
yeah.
was
Oh, thank you.
bouncing around there, but yeah, it's well put together. It's easy
Well,
to
thank you. I
navigate.
did that. I
Yeah,
did it
yeah, you
myself.
did good.
Thank you. See, I'm telling you, we were truly nonprofit. Like we did a lot of sweat equity because we really wanted to get this done. And
Yeah,
it's not sexy, but it's worth it.
yeah, it doesn't need to be.
Right.
It just needs to get the word out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
All
Well,
right, Susie, hold on one second.
okay.
Susie Singer-Carter, No Country for Old People is a documentary. Do yourself a favor and watch this one. It's not going to be an easy watch, but it's information that all of us need. Because we've all got loved ones or had loved ones that have been in a long-term facility or a nursing home. If they're going in, some people are going in for hospice for the last little bit of their lives. It's a place that we should be able to put our loved ones with confidence, knowing that they're getting the best care possible, and not just physical care, but emotional, mental care. If you're putting, let's just say, if I'm putting one of my family members into a home, then you damn well better be taking care of them. You better be visiting them, making sure that they're interactive, that they're stimulated mentally, that they're, like my dad, 85 years old, always been an athlete, still very athletic, still golfs. They better be doing stuff that stimulates that part of them, the part that makes them them. And they better be taking care of their physical needs. No Country for Old People. Please make sure you watch this. On a personal note, this resonates with me. Those that have watched the podcast know, I've got a couple of autoimmune diseases. The easy one is celiac disease. I was diagnosed in the 90s with that. Back then, there was very little help with a gluten issue. It's gotten a lot better. Still not great, but it's gotten a lot better. It's manageable, but it's an autoimmune disease. It doesn't give me. It gives me some trouble. I still get cross-contaminated, and if I do, I'm down for a week or maybe 2 weeks. It can be bad, but for the most part, I've got it under control. But it's an autoimmune disease, and you never know what other complications that's going to cause. One of the things that I got with celiac was I'm lactose intolerant. That one's pretty benign. I can take a pill for that. But autoimmune diseases tend to make you susceptible to other diseases. And then the bigger one that I've got, last year I was diagnosed with Parkinson's. I'm very early in it, and the medicine's helping. I noticed it because I was dragging my left leg. I'm a runner, and I was dragging my left leg and really struggling, just for the motions. So that's how it kind of started. Then my face started to get tight. It started, it's bad enough with this accent. I'm hard to understand as it is, but it became difficult sometimes to pronunciate or enunciate. So as a podcaster, that was an issue. So, I was diagnosed with Parkinson's. The medicine's helping. That's all great. But That's 2 autoimmune disease. I'm worried of, and I come from a family that lives forever. You know, my grandfather was 100. Both my grandfathers were 100. My grandmother was 96. My other grandmother was 98, I think. You know, we live a while, maybe not happily, but you know, but I'm very concerned about when I get older about having to go into a home. I'm not. That's fine if I need that, but I want to go in somewhere that's going to take care of me. I don't want to go somewhere that I'm just going to get worse. Might as well stay at home. So anyway, that a little off. Well, not really. You know, it's a subject that I think a lot of us hold dear to our heart. We just don't know exactly what to do. No Country for Old People can answer some of those questions, and then follow up with the movement that Susie's starting, Roar. I love that. That's just terrific. Thank you guys for watching. If you're finding us for the first time, our YouTube channel is MeisterCon Pod. Please subscribe. Really helps us out. It's free. Our website's meistercon.com. You can find right now it's 1,016 episodes. We add to it not daily, but several times a week. So 1,016 episodes. You can find audio and video versions on the website, meistercon.com. It'll let you know if we're doing something in studio, like watching No Country for Old People, if we're going on location, if we're covering a convention, anything we have going on, be on the website, meistercon.com. Thank you guys so much. Till next time. Bye, everybody.